Well, howdy meowdy, I am the Damn Cat Gaming, and I welcome you to Gran Turismo Racing Community's Hyundai Elantra Trophy Challenge. This is round 4 at Sardegna, layout B. This is the shorter version, very technical, uh, not very high speeds, a lot of twisty, turning consecutive corners here. This made for some very fun racing, and I'm looking forward to showing it to you all here today. But before we get into that, let's go into how the series is set up and its settings and all that. We'll start off with our calendar. As I mentioned, this round was at Sardegna B, and yeah, this is and the next round will be at Dragon Trail, and I'll be in 2 weeks time or so. I think we'll see when it gets here. So the race settings itself consist of two 20-minute races. The first race preceded by a qualifier, which is GTRC standard. In practice mode, we will have an outlap and a set number of hot laps. For this series, that set number is 2, so we do an outlap and then 2 flying laps in order to try to set our qualifying time. And then after the first race, for the second race, we reverse the grid based on the results of that first race. And in tracks where it can be done, we will do a reverse grid and reverse direction as well. There is 1x tire wear, 3x fuel rate. That means that for every lap, it is 1 lap's worth of tire wear and 3 laps worth of fuel consumption for every racing lap run. We are only running on racing mediums, and the weather is random, so if it can rain, well, rain can be a factor. In this case, this track, rain is not a factor, so this was not something we really had to worry about. And coming into the standings, coming into this round, we have Maple Syrup, or Ishmael, leading the charge at 109 points. Hairraiser is close behind with 94. Superboy right behind him at 80. Duck Barrel in 4th at 64. Bar in 5th at 52. The Damn Cat in 6th at 49. Mike in 7th, 45. Tap in 8th at 42. Type R is behind in 9th with 32, Petrol in 10th with 28, UU in 11th at 27, Eagle at 12th and 24, and ATB bringing up the rear with 19 points. Alright, so we did our qualifying, and Petro took the pole. He had the fastest lap for qualifying for this round. Mike was behind him in second. Tap starts in third. Doug starts at 4th. Supra in 5th. The Damn Cat in 6th. Bar starts in 7th. Type R in 8th. And Ishmael, due to a timing infraction and joining the basically missing the pre-race spiel, was not allowed to qualify, so he starts at the very back. And without further ado, light circle red. We're ready on to go green, and green. Time to go. Time to get this show on the road. We have Petrol leading us into turn 1 with Mike second place right beside him. Tap is right behind him in 3rd. Doug and Super side by side at 4th and 5th. Super edges out here. We have one of the white cars goes off, and 2 cars went off there. It's like Doug got the short end of the stick there. He gets around Tab, so I think Tab pushed him off, so he waited on him. Which is good to see. Alright, coming back to the front, we see I have Petrol still in the lead. Mike behind him in second. Super in third. Ishmael's already made his way up to fourth. The Damn Cat is in fifth. Bar right beside him in sixth. Type Bar behind in seventh. Doug in eighth. And Tap breaking up the rear. Alright, so Petrol is still leading us. Mike is timing in second. We have Supra still in third. Ishmael remains in fourth. Whereas all the single foul line at this point, Bar has gotten around the Damn Cat early on. Damn Cat's fallen one position so far. Type Bar is behind here in seventh. Doug is behind in eighth. Taps. We're all single file in ninth, coming into the end of lap one. Petrol held on, manages to hold on to the lead for the first lap. The Mike right behind him. Supra's moved into third. Ishmael in fourth. That's crazy. In one lap from last to fourth. Bar is in fifth. We have Doug in sixth. Type R is in seventh. Tap in eighth, and the Damn Cat, something happened to him because he has fallen all the way back to ninth and just getting it worse. That's no fun, no good at all. All right, we have Petrol here in the lead still. Stay right, single foul line. Mike's remaining in third, keeping it tight, close and tight. Just basically looking for the guy in front to make a mistake. I think these top few are doing. Petrol kind of close to that wall. A lot of these drivers get close to that wall there. Doug is the first driver we see make clean with distance from the wall. Type R and Tap right behind. Right now, I think everyone's just single file, just trying to apply pressure to the guy in front. You see Mike is really right up here, right behind Petrol here. Right on his rear bumper. Does Mike make a move here, or does he just follow? I think he's just going to follow through. That's not a good overtaking corner, so Mike follows through. Now Mike is side by side here with Petrol, looking to challenge for the lead. Is he gonna do it? My Petrol has that defensive inside line, so Petrol's like, unless Mike can get a good exit here, and he does not. He got a little bit into the gravel. That's gonna allow Super to actually get ahead of him here. And Ishmael is still lurking right here behind these three. This is probably the closest thing, we're the closest to a battle we have at the moment. It's early on, so it's not a lot. Some people are probably not pushing as hard as others at the moment. These lead four building a gap over Bar. We have Petrol here still in the lead. Super is still in second. Mike is looking to just get that position back from Supra. Whether he's able or not, too, is another story. And he's got to worry about Ishmael behind him, who, like I mentioned before, that first lap went from last to fourth in one lap. That's impressive. Right now, again, we're keeping it nice, tight, and clean. Largely single foul again at this point. Ishmael got a good chunk of that second corner there, coming onto the home stretch. And these four have that gap. He's a huge gap here. I'm wondering, does Ishmael look to make a move here? No, but Mike does. Mike is looking to get to the inside of Super here. He looks like he's got it nicely done. Super looks like he's going to try to switch back on it, but it just didn't work out. So Mike has regained second place. This is good for Petrol. If he can just pull away from these three while these three try to maneuver with each other, he could build a gap here. However, looks like they're just more taking advantage of each other's mistakes rather than actually battling, which is enabling them all to stay right up here with Petrol. Mike goes a little bit wide. Watch out. Almost hit that wall. Mike right now is looking side by side with Petrol. He is Oof, very wide, very wide. That's no good. There's sticker contact. If there was, Supra's not waiting on him. And Ishmael has gotten around Supra with all that, so now Ishmael is moved up to second. Gained 2 spots there in that one corner. And now he's looking to catch up to Petrol and eventually get around him. And again, cutting a lot there in that final bit of the chicane. Just come through the rest of the field. Just check, see if we're missing any other battles. So far, nothing going on here. Alright, back to the front, because this is where it looks to be where all of our action is at the moment. We have Ishmael defending here against Super nicely. Nicely done. Held that tight inside line. Held Super at bay for the time being. Super is very much on the attack right now, which is good for Petrol. Ooh, little squirrely moment there from Super. Not sure if that was just a trying to find a way to force himself around Ishmael, if he just got a little loose there and had to catch the car there. But that actually lets Bar catch up to him for a little bit. And right now, Ishmael is now pulling a gap over Superboy. Super's got to dial it in and can catch it back up here. Otherwise, he's going to let Ishmael run away and have a fun little battle with Petrol, who, like Bar went wide, coming out of the corner with Doug right behind him. Type R is still there, Tap's there. Mike is all the way in the back. We have Type R and here Nath, and the damn cat is in the rear. All right, come back to the front. Back to the front. We have to check on the back every now and then. All right, Petrol's got about a second-ish gap over Ishmael, and Supra is closing in on Ishmael here. He has reeled him in. He is looking to attack on the outside. Again, kind of more like a very aggressive line through there, trying to get a straight line exit basically out of that corner. Ishmael just holding tight to the inside, just the nice defensive line to try to force Super to take the long way around if he is going to make a move. Super is going to have to do it the long way. Very nice defense here from Ishmael. And we see Bar is starting to feel a little bit of a challenge from Doug, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as well here in a little bit. Again, Super in that corner. Just closes right up on Ishmael there. But Ishmael's able to keep him behind. See Bar's got Doug right behind him, and Tap is closing in on Doug. This is becoming an interesting battle. We'll have to keep an eye on that as well. But at the moment, Petrol's got a second and a half gap over Ishmael, who's built about the same size gap to Superboy. The Bar Bar still hanging there in fourth. He's got about 2 seconds to Superboy. I'm noticing Super does tend to gain here on Ishmael a lot under braking. So that means Super's probably got a later braking point and is just able to carry a little bit more speed. Woo, he goes wider. That's a good way to say hello to Mr. Barry R, but it looked like Super ignored that temptation at this time. He was able to just keep from hitting the wall there. But that's going to allow Ishmael to potentially pull further away. And again, that's what Ishmael wants, is he wants to focus on closing in on Petrol. So at this moment, it looks like the battle with Super here has, for the moment, died down. We'll check on this Bar having to fight for his life against Doug. Not quite. Tap's actually gotten around Doug. Something happened there. We missed that. We're so focused on the lead on that battle in the front, we'd miss whatever happened here to cause Tap to get ahead of Doug. Doug's now got Mike up, is closing in on him. Just coming into lap 8. We see Mike is getting a run on Doug on the straight as well. He might actually be able to close in and make a move coming into turn 1. Does this happen? Or does Mike just stick behind? Mike follows him through the corner, but he is very close there. He is definitely looking to challenge Doug here for 6th place. Mike gets closer and closer to Doug. Every corner looks like he's just reeling him in, corner by corner. A quick check on the front here. We see Ishmael is closing in on Petrol, which is exactly what he wants to do. We're a little over halfway through the race at this point. Ishmael is trying to close in on, trying to get around Petrol, but Petrol is starting to have to get defensive. We see that gap to Supra is now probably about 5 seconds from Ishmael to Supra. And we saw like this was Tap going wide into the gravel. So Tap is looking to challenge it with Bar here within the next couple of laps. Doug and Mike are going at it still. Ooh. It's a tricky line through there that Mike just had to go through, just having to deal with the dirty air coming from Doug, and he is trying to use that slip to slingshot around on the outside, going the long way around against Doug. Backs out of that, fight another day, and we missed the overtake by Ishmael here, because we were looking at that at the battle for 6. We missed the battle for the lead. Should have stuck here. We might see if we can go back and see what happened here. Alright. So coming down the home stretch, we see Ishmael gets a better exit out of the final chicane and is able to use Slipstream to slingshot his way around Petrol. Nothing Petrol could really do there. Petrol was a sitting duck, it seems like. So now Petrol's got to do all he can to fight back, but he's got a half-second penalty. That's not going to help his cause, and that's actually probably going to allow Ishmael to build an even bigger gap. Which Petrol is looking to try to respond. Actually, he's just trying to keep up at this point. At this point, Ishmael's set up to run away if Petrol can't keep very close before serving this penalty, and then Petrol will have to reel him back in once he serves that penalty. Petrol's he's keeping close, he's keeping up, which is good. That's what he needs to do. He needs to be a little closer, I think. When it comes time to serve this penalty, I think he's too far back. He's going to lose touch to Ishmael, and that's going to allow Ishmael to run away. Petrol's giving it all he's got, though. I can tell you that much. Nice clean cut, serves his penalty, but that's going to allow Supra, I think, to close the gap. He's not going to catch up, I don't think. He might. Supra got a good run, so actually Supra might be able to make a move on Petrol here. If he's too far back, he's too far back. That move is not going to happen. We see something's happened to Tap. Tap was in 5th. He's fallen all the way to 7th. Bar still in 4th. We see Doug is still fending off Mike, but they have both gotten a free position with whatever happened to Tap. He probably went wide, went in the dirt at some point. We see Type R reeling in, trying to reel in Tap, and we see the damn cat not giving up. He is trying to close in on Type R, just nothing doing there. Alright, so there's about a 2.5-3 second gap to Petrol and Ishmael. There's about a 1.5 2 second gap to Petrol and Superboy. And then Bar is just a couple seconds back from Supra. So anything can happen here with any of these front 4, and these podium positions could still swap around. We're down to about 5.5 minutes to go of this race. Supra looks to be closing in on Petrol coming into this corner. Whether he gets a good exit or not will determine whether or not he reels Petrol in. looks like he is slowly but surely drawing in that purple Elantra of petrols. Again, coming into turn 1, we see Super trying to close in that gap. He is there. He's within a second at this point. And we see Doug and Mike still going at it. Several laps in now, Mike is trying to get around Doug. I think Mike should be more just trying to apply pressure rather than actively battling Doug, which is enabling them to slowly reel in bar as well. See, Petrol seems to have the advantage in this section over Supra. But once we get to that final sector, it seems to be where Supra gets the edge over Petrol. And Ishmael's still up there. He's still got that 2-3 second gap to Petrol. He just needs to maintain that, and he's gonna be golden. We see Super get into the dirt a little bit there. That'll slow him down just a smidge, just a little bit. Oh, going to the grass, that's not gonna help. That's gonna let Petrol potentially get the better run through this corner. And as always, it's like Super is flirting with a penalty there. But he doesn't get one this time around. We see Bars a couple seconds back. Doug has got about a half second or so to Mike, but Mike again gets that better run, and he is closing in on Doug again. We have Tap closing in on both of them. We have Type R, who is falling by losing touch to Tap, and the damn cat is within touching distance, it seems, of Type R. Either way, coming back to the front, we have Ishmael with about a 2 to 3 second gap still over Petrol. Petrol's got about half second, maybe a second gap to Superboy. There's about a 3-4 second gap back to Bar. Mike and Doug going at it with each other, but they're reeling in. They're both catching up to Bar here in 4th. They're closing it. I don't know if they're going to, if this Bar makes a mistake though. I think he's got enough of a gap if he can hold that position to where he should be good there. These two are going at it still. They're there. They're close enough to where they could battle, but I think Mike is just trying to apply pressure and trying to induce a mistake here with Doug rather than actively battling him. Just like I said, enabling them to slowly reel in Bar ahead of them. But time is running out. If Mike wants to get ahead of Doug, he's going to have to eventually go on the attack. We have Mike's still here. We have Tab closing in, but he's got a half second penalty. Whatever gain he makes here, he is going to lose at the end of the lap. We have Type R and the damn cat slowly reeling him in. But again, I don't think there's enough time or anything to materialize here. So we'll come back to the front. See, Ishmael has built a bigger gap. Now, that's the gap's more like 6 seconds down to Petrol. And the gap to Petrol and Supra is still about 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds. Supra's got to reel Petrol in if he wants to claim second place from Petrol. We have Bar here in 4th. He's about 3 to 4 seconds back. Then about 3 to 4 seconds behind him. Well, actually about 2 to 3 seconds behind him is this battle now. That is, Mike appears to be actually going on the attack now. I did say if Mike wants to get ahead of Doug, he is eventually going to have to go on the attack, and it looks like Mike is in attack mode here. However, going on the attack is going to allow Bar to get away, and it might allow Tap, who has a half second penalty, to close in. We're coming in on the final lap of this race. So if they're going to do something, Mike has got to do it this lap. He's got to, if he's going to get around Doug, he's got to do it now, basically. Coming to the front, is there anything brewing here? We have a huge gap to Petrol. Supra is closing in on Petrol. Supra is, he's got to do a little bit more. He's not quite close enough to attack yet. Bars here in 4th. He is basically just needs to keep it clean and tidy, and he'll finish where he is. Doug has got to defend very hard well against Mike, as Mike is within striking distance, Mike can start attacking. And like I said, the ground that Tepin made the previous lap was lost with his penalty. Again, as long as these two don't make a big mistake, Tap is probably not going to be able to close in. We see Mike's made a couple of minor mistakes, enough to allow a gap to form to Doug. It's coming in the front. We have Ishmael at this point just needs to keep it clean and tidy. Very unlikely anything to happen there. We see Petrol Super has closed into Petrol. Petrol's got to defend here. This is coming into the final chicane. We're going to see that Ishmael is going to take the win race 1. Petrol Super is just out of touch with Petrol here. Petrol's going to be in second, Super in third. Barr is going to finish 4th. We see Doug manages to fend off Mike that final lap. Tap is going to finish in 7th, behind Mike in 6th. We see the Damn Cat trying, but too far back. So Type R in 8th, the Damn Cat finishes in 9th. And we see that was a nice, clean, tidy racing for the most part from what we saw. It was a nice, clean race, nice and tidy. Ishmael takes the win with Petrol about 4.5, a little over 4.5 seconds behind. Super was about finished half second behind him in 3rd. Barr was about 4 seconds behind in 4th. There was another 2 seconds between Barr and Doug, who had Mike right up his rear bumper, just under a half second behind, and then another less than half second behind Mike was Tap. And Tap comes away with the fastest lap, but Ishmael comes away with the win, and we have, of course, the Damn Cat bringing up the rear. We see that everyone has pretty respectable, close, fastest lap times, so pace-wise, we were all very close together. Just things happened in the race when the gaps were able to form. And then for race 2, we're this reverse grid, so that means Ishmael again is on a last to first challenge for the 2nd time today. He managed to go last to first in the first race. Is he able to do it in the 2nd race? And then at this point, let's find out. So the Damn Cat starts off on pole, and we see he does not get a good launch. He is already down to 2nd. Tap is moving up into 3rd side by side. At risk of becoming a sandwich between Type R and the Damn Cat, but manages to keep off. We see a little bit of touching and roughing, a little rubbing there between Superboy and Mike, and we see it's the Damn Cat that's gone off. So the Damn Cat's kind of done the reverse challenge there, first to last in a matter of a lap. So we have Type R, who currently holds the lead. We have Tap currently in 2nd. Petrol's already moved up to 3rd with that confusion of that cluster. Superboy is in 4th. We have Mike in 5th. Ishmael currently in 6th. We have Barr in 7th. Doug in 8th, and the Damn Cat in 9th. The Damn Cat is trying to go around on the outside here. We have Doug on a solid defensive line here on the inside, trying to defend against the Damn Cat. And Barr holds the inside line. Sits, and then these two are side by side, and the Damn Cat's kind of boxed in the rear. But the Damn Cat's able to get the inside line here, but that puts him on the outside here. And we see Doug falling back to the rear. We see at the front, we see a Tap has moved into the lead for the time being. Type R has Petrol coming around, basically slingshotting around him into 2nd. Coming into turn one. Woo! Type R goes slidey ways. Though I'm not sure if there was contact there with Petrol. There might have been contact with Petrol there. Kind of hard to tell if that was contact or a evasive maneuver by Type R that just went completely sideways. Literally. Alright, we have Super, but Super is now, but for the time being, Petrol keeps on, so he stays in second. Superboy is in third. Ishmael has, again, within the span of a lap, moved up to fourth place. And again, this kind of looks familiar to last time. Ishmael is on the tail of Superboy. About midway through lap, about 2/3 of the way through lap 2. You have Mike here in 6th, going a little wide. Bars in 7th, very wide. Kind of cuts Doug off there, coming back on the track. Borderline unsafe re-entry there. We have the Damn Cat in 8th, and Type R, who got it very wrong earlier. It's falling all the way back to 9th. Alright, Tap is in the lead still. He's got about a half second to a three-quarters of a second to Petrol in second. There's about that same gap to Supra, who dives to the inside. Try to defend against Ishmael here coming into lap 3. These two are side by side coming into turns 1 and 2, and ooh. Supra goes very wide. I think there was contact there between the two. And then Super goes wide again. Super does manage to only lose one position from going off there. That is a win in anybody's book. We have Mike here in 5th, Bar in 6th, and he is side by side with Doug Barrow. Now Doug is right there trying to get around Bar here. We have the Damn Cat in 8th, kind of in lurking distance, kind of like what he did last race. Just lurking. Trying to close in on the regular front, but whether he's able to do that or not is another story. We have Type R bringing up the rear, kind of a long ways back. Tap is here in 1st. We have Petrol in 2nd, about a second-ish gap. About 4 seconds, about 3 or 4 seconds behind Petrol is Ishmael. About a second and a half, 2 seconds back is Supra. Doug has gotten around Mike. We missed that. I should have paid attention to that. That's where the battle was. Alright, we have Doug, Mike, and Bar all right here, and they are all. Looks to be a 4, potentially 5-way battle brewing if the Damn Cat could close in on this group here. But we have Supra, who's got about a second over Doug, who's got about a second over Mike, who's got Bar right on his tail. Turns 1 and 2 is proving to be a incident-prone area. There's a little bit of a little bit of a nudge there from Bar into Mike, but Bar is able to get around for the time being. Mike falls down to 7th, and the Damn Cat's lurking here in 8th. We have 9th. Tap is still in the lead. Petrol is closing in on him, and Petrol does currently also own the fastest lap of the race up to this point, the 1:28.7. So about 3/4 of a second to a second gap separates Tap and Petrol at the moment. This is a brewing battle. It'll probably become a battle probably within the next lap, half lap maybe. Ishmael is a few seconds back. Doug is currently in a battle with Supra with Tap. Not Tap. Wow. Doug goes in fairly wide. That's going to allow Supra to take the inside line, and if you give Supra a gap, he is going to shoot for it. These two are probably two of the most aggressive drivers in the roster, from what we can observe. They both will take a gap if you give it to them. Doug right now is having to defend, and you defend very tightly against Supra, which you have to do, because like I said, if you give Supra a gap, he will take it. He will go for it. We have Bar lurking behind these two in 6th. Mike is right behind in 7th. And right now, this is I think where the big battle is at the moment, even though Tap and Petrol are also. Ooh. Supra gets into the rear quarter panel of Doug. Doug manages to keep ahead, keep it on track, keep it pointed in the right direction. Doug goes a bit wide. There, that's probably going to allow Superboy to make a run along the outside of Doug here. And coming in this corner, they are indeed side by side. This is going to put Super on the advantageous inside line, but Doug is trying to defend it. He's trying to hold it on the outside. That sets him up for the inside here. And these two battling is allowing Bar to enter the mix. And Mike goes way wide there. What happened there? Like Mike was just completely missed his breaking point. That's the only thing I can think of that would have happened there. You see Mike go sailing into the barrier. Let's come check out this battle between Tap and Petrol real quick, because we know this is brewing, this is coming. Tap has got Petrol right behind him, applying pressure right now. Petrol isn't attacking at the moment. He's at that point where he's able to apply pressure to Tap and hopefully induce a mistake, so that way they don't have to battle, and that would allow them to preserve this gap they have over Ishmael. Right now, Petrol is about a half second behind Tap there. He's not really attacking at the moment. Let's check back on this intense little battle we have here in fourth between Doug, Supra, and Bar. All in the mix here. Supra moves to the inside on this corner again, forcing Doug to once again try to defend this on the outside. This time he's not able to. Supra is able to get ahead for the time being, but Doug is trying to answer back, making a move of his own on the inside. Supra goes a bit wide there. They're now side by side, coming to the final couple of corners. I think ultimately Doug has the advantage coming in here, and you see that for the time being, Doug has got fourth. Supra is currently in fifth with Bar right behind, close enough to take advantage of any mistake either of these two make. And the damn guy that's lurking, can't forget about this guy. Mike is falling back here in eighth. Type R is trudging on in ninth, not giving up, which is what we love to see from anyone. Alright, this battle with Tap and Petrol is starting to really heat up. Petrol is now making him, forcing Tap to defend as he is starting to attack. Petrol's starting to go for the lead as we approach the halfway point of the race. Just over 10 minutes to go. Tap is now having to defend against Petrol, forcing Petrol, if he's going to attack, he's got to do it the long way. And coming out of that corner, Petrol's front bumper was practically kissing the rear bumper of Tap. He was practically pushing him through the corner at that point. Tap is having to take a very defensive line through here, which is of course going to allow Petrol to stay up there with him. Petrol swings wide to try to get a good exit out of here. Ideally he's going to want to slingshot around, take advantage of that better exit to slingshot around and take the lead. And there's that slingshot we were expecting. Side by side coming into turn one. Turns 1 and 2. This has been Tap just lets Petrol have it, live to fight another day. Now Tap is able to dial back in and now respond if he is able. Is Tap able to respond to Petrol? This is a thing. We see Ishmael at some point has taken the fastest lap from Petrol, and he is slowly reeling these two in. These two battling is allowing this guy to get into the picture. See, does Tap do anything to try to respond, or does Tap content to just apply pressure to Petrol? Tap takes a very wide line into this corner. He's them to take a very good exit out. And that's why, again, he's going wide to attack on the outside, kind of go for over-under move here. He is now side by side with Petrol, and Tap has, for the time being, reclaimed the lead. This is a good little battle we have here for the lead. Tap and Petrol going back and forth. Petrol's got the slipstream. He is definitely got enough space here to go for a slingshot if he. Yep, here it is. If he's going to do it, it's time to do it. Nope, Petrol backs out. Sets up for a very sharp line through there. We see Doug going into the pits. That's unfortunate. You have to wonder what happened there. Something's probably going on with that Elantra of Doug as we see him dove into the pits. We see Petrol did get back around Tap. And now Gap's starting to. Petrol's got a little bit bigger gap, and now Ishmael is basically making his presence known with these two. Let's check on some. Do we have any other battles going on in the field real quick? We have Supra fighting off Bar. We have the damn Catanoma and lurking distance. Mike is pushing on. Type R still pushing, and they're checking on the Elantra of Doug, trying to see what happened there, what's going on. Maybe an issue with the suspension. You see, it did look like he was struck with some handling going around his track, so maybe there's some issue with the suspension they're looking at. Either way, we are back here in the front. This is where the real action is at the moment. Petrol, Tap, and now Ishmael is making his presence known. Ishmael is on the attack, looks to be on the attack here against Tap. Right now, looks like he might just be looking to push Tap up here to Petrol. Nice tidy lines from all three of them. Petrol at the moment wants to see these two battle. He wants to see Tap go defensive and Ishmael go on the attack, but that means he can run away. He may be able to run away. However, we see Ishmael, this Tap does go on the defense here, which compromises his exit there, which is going to allow Ishmael to get the better run coming into this corner. And we see with the line that Tap is taking, he's probably up. Ishmael, he left the door open. Ishmael looks to the inside, forcing Tap to try to defend on the outside. It's Tap's. They're still side by side, but Ishmael does get the job done. Ishmael is now in second place. Tap down to third. Tap is close enough where he can still respond if he can just keep close. Use a slipstream in this home straight to try to reclaim that position. However, doing so runs the risk of allowing Petrol to run away. So Tap is in Ishmael's slipstream. We do see Tap is closing the gap, but I think too big of a gap formed out of that last corner to allow Tap to make a move on the straight. So he's instead going to be right up the rear bumper of Ishmael coming out of turn 2 into this sector here. See Tap trying to make a move on the inside, but Ishmael is able to just hold it on the outside. Keep Tap at bay that way. However, this is good for Petrol. This can allow him to run away if these two keep at it. Meanwhile, let's check to see if there's any further battles in the back real quick. Just keep an eye on these two. These two are a potential battle, and this guy can get close enough to battle if things happen. We do see that they did get the Elantra of Doug back on the track. He is moving and grooving again. That's good to see. Meanwhile, we just saw the end of a defensive maneuver there from Ishmael. Ooh, a little contact there between Tap and Ishmael. And now this is quickly brewing into a three-way battle because both Tap and Ishmael are in striking range of Petrol. Ishmael again gets the better exit out of the final corner, and this time with Petrol's slipstream, he's able to pull away from Tap along the home stretch, coming into turns 1 and 2. Ishmael is there. Ishmael is there. He can attack at any moment at this point, and he is looking to do it. He just moved to the inside partly. That usually could have been to defend, but it also could have been to signal to Petrol, hey, I'm about to attack you, buddy. But we see Tap is taking advantage of that and is moved into second. But Ishmael's not done. Ishmael's attacking on the inside, side by side. They come through. That should give Tap the better exit, and for the moment, Tap does pull ahead of Ishmael here. But this is far from over. Far from over. Under 3 minutes to go in this race. Under 3 minutes to go. 2.5 minutes to be precise. Petrol goes wide. He gets into the dirt. That is not what he wants to do, because that can allow these two to close in and attack more, attack him. However, single foul, they remain for the time being. Let's check on our battles we have back here. We see Bar and the damn cat closing in on each other. Or something happened to Bar. He fell behind Super, and that's allowed him to fall to under pressure from the damn cat for 5th. We'll have to keep an eye on that at some point. But this battle for the podium, for who's where on the podium, this is really where it's the heat that the pressure is on for these three at the moment. Tap and Petrol both go very wide there. That is a gift to Ishmael. Petrol tried to close the door, but too little, too late. With those two going wide, that gifts the lead to Ishmael. And now Petrol and Tap have got to both try to respond. They both want to be in front. Tap goes wide, well into the gravel there. That's not what he wants to do, because that's going to cause him to fall back further from Petrol. Petrol is trying to close back in to Ishmael, but the gap is there. That's about a half-second gap. And we know Ishmael can turn a half-second gap into a second gap very quickly. And once he does that, good luck catching him. And it looks like it's close to have done that. It's about 3/4 of a second gap now to Ishmael and Petrol. Yes. And Petrol is pulling away from Tap. Under braking, Petrol's going to try to close in here, get a good exit. He is within slipstream. Barely. He is barely in slipstream with Ishmael. He's not going to be able to close in, and I think Ishmael got the better run. So he may actually have pulled enough of a gap to where Petrol no longer has his slipstream. And this is the final lap. Alright, we're going to check on going right. Super is in 4th, Bison Lonesome. We have Bar and the damn cat. These two are close enough. Well, this could turn into a juicy battle. For 5th, we have Mike back here in 7th, Type R Nathan, Doug cruising along in 9th. Almost as if he never pit, but just he did, unfortunately. He had to turn in to get that suspension looked at, the suspension tweaked, to where he could actually turn the car where he needed it to. But we have Ishmael here. Like I said, once you give him that gap, there is no catching him. Petrol goes wide. That could potentially gift second place to Tap if he can close in. Because that gap is now about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds to Ishmael and Petrol. Oh, Tap goes wide there, almost goes into the barrier. I don't think Tap going to be close enough to make it. Oh, this is the moment. This is the moment. Tap is not able to. Tap has got to make the run down the straight. I don't think he's close enough. It's not going to happen. Ishmael takes the win. Petrol in 2nd, Tap in 3rd. We're going to see Superboy come home in 4th. Ultimately, we do see the damn cat did get around Bar at some point during the final lap. And the size of that gap indicates it was a mistake by Bar that cost him that potential 5th place. GG's. Bar finishes in 6th. And we see coming into the final at the end of round 2 of the second race for this round, rather, Ishmael takes the win and the fastest lap this time with that 1:28.3. Petrol was nearly 2 seconds behind. Tap was a little over half a second behind Petrol. Then nearly 10 seconds in the end between Tap and Supra. Another close to 10 seconds, like 9 seconds between Supra and the damn cat. About 8 seconds back to ahead of Bar. And then Mike, Type R, and Doug round out the field, all of which were a lap down. Well, that was fun. That was fun. That was fun. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. So the next round of this, like I mentioned, is at Dragon Trail Gardens. We can go back to series info to double check. Yes, the next round of this is in 2 weeks at Dragon Trail Gardens. That's gonna be interesting because it can rain there, but we'll see what happens there in 2 weeks' time. I am the Damn Cat Gaming. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see y'all next time. Until then.